Welcome everybody to today's episode. The young man that I'm about to introduce has had numerous #1 hit records dating back to the 70s. This young man that I'm talking about is the father of Afrikaans rock music, none other than Mr. Anton Goosen. Welcome.
Hello.
Honored to have you here, sir.
Same here. It's early, huh?
It's very early. Now, sir, my favorite question. If we could magically, boom, couple of years back, so it's not long ago, you were 17 years old. If we can get that 17-year-old version of you to come and sit next to us here and tell us a story, who is that 17-year-old person next to you? What are you thinking about? What's going on in that brilliant, creative mind?
That 17-year-old was in Mit Mak, I think, and Welcome. In the school was in Bedelia, Grootveld Hoërskool. And before that we were in Kroonstad, but in Welcome I started my first band. So the ambition then was to get out of the place and to Johannesburg, the Johnny B. Good thing, the lights.
Yes, the lights.
Yeah, and that was like, just think what was around then. I've just heard the Stones doing Satisfaction and the Beatles, She Loves You.
Okay.
And that kind of changed my direction a little, a wee bit. Shortly after that, came Led Zeppelin and Bob Dylan and etc. But that 17-year-old, we went to sessions, they called it sessions.
Okay. At
the hotels, and so a band played and everybody had a good time. You did things that you were not supposed to do.
Of course.
And meet girls, and there was this one girl, which I thought was my girl, but she was like a couple of years in standard 6 already. She was making quite sure that
everything is thoroughly done there.
Yeah, that standard is very well covered. And she apparently had another boyfriend, and it was at this session.
Oh no.
And the dude then found out about this and then called me, and then he confronted her and said, "You must choose." And he had a big Jim Morrison buckle, I remember that very well. And her eyes followed this buckle a lot. And everything around it. And after a while she said, "I choose him," which is now the other guy.
Okay.
So it's the first experience of rejection.
Okay.
Working on the stage, artists are not fond of rejection.
No.
Or why would we? And I went home and I fell down on the bed, and my mother walked past and she just said, "Oh, there are a lot of fish in the sea, don't worry," and walked on. And that was that 17-year-old. That's when we started smoking, peer pressure, bunking school to attend the band practices.
The sessions, the practice for the sessions.
That started at 16 already in the previous school, Afrikaans Hoër in Kroonstad. And I remember the words of Mr. Dominic so well of the Honourable Mr. Anton Goosen, "Get out." "Oh, thank you very much." And off I went to the lead guitarist's place across the road. And his name was Gabriel, and he had a lot of opera records, the covers stuck on the wall, and bats, dried out bats.
Bats?
And long hair and stuff. And we thought that was very funky. That was certainly very unusual. But then we sussed out as well that with the song periwiders, the singing thing. This Mrs. van Heiningen, she taught my father as well in Kroonstad, so she was like getting on already. And we were allowed to bring records of our choice to play for the class.
Okay.
And there was a recording by Conway Twitty of the Mona Lisa, which started very mellow, like Mona Lisa, Mona Lisa, Mona Lisa. And then after the first verse, all hell broke loose with the drums and the guitars. And she took this record and broke it in front of the entire class.
No.
So I thought, okay. And then I just found a way to, for her to chase me out of the class as well, so we could fit in another period across the road with a guitarist. Then my parents thought that I spent far too much time on music and sent me to a psychiatrist here in Pretoria. And his first question was, do I masturbate?
That was his first question.
Yeah, and then he said a lot of married men prefer that to their wives. I thought, thanks for oversharing this. What's this got to do with my music? Then he explained to me that it's only the real big artists that can make it in music, like Nico Carstens and Henny Becker. And Henny Becker is now living in Canada. I told him the story the other day and he had a liquor laugh about it. But he could have been right. That's the other point. If one thinks about it, he could have been right. There's no way of telling. But I had this ambition of playing in a band and writing songs. I started about when I was 14. The guy that worked for us on the plot outside, we lived outside, his name was Yankee, and his wife's name was Katrein.
Okay.
So the two names did feature later on. He taught me how to smoke, and he taught me how to milk cows, and he taught me guitar.
Beautiful.
Which was very, very lekker. He was, I think, from somewhere, it was a Griqua, somewhere, something like that. Anyway, yeah, the youngster of 17, yeah, collar up, you know, the whole James Dean thing.
Nice.
Did I answer your question?
Absolutely. Fascinating. So collar up, you know the three most important things that you need to know at 17, growing up where you were. Milking cows, smoking cigarettes, and playing guitar. But how does that journey transpire into, you know, following an actual career into music? Do you one day go into a session, somebody notices you and says, listen, I would like to, you know, have a minute of your time. Can we do this more permanently? How does that happen? I'm always fascinated by the journey.
That didn't happen when I was 17, but we had those bands and sessions that we played, and then I went to Heidelberg Teachers Training College to avoid the army.
Okay, army wasn't your thing.
No, why would it be?
Absolutely, absolutely.
It doesn't really go with music, marching music maybe, but and there they had a course that we had to do once for 2 hours every Monday, and then one camp of 3 weeks in Potchefstroom, which was very cold. And my friend and I, my friend played drums and trumpet. We soon sussed out that they did the roll call at the beginning of this exercise every Monday.
Okay.
So after roll call, they marched off towards Nigel, and we marched back to our hostel room, spending time making music. So at college, we had a college band, played for small occasions and weddings and stuff like that. And then I started teaching, and then we did a lot of folk singing. It was like that folk singing revival.
Okay.
Keith Blundell and Des Lindbergh and Ian Lawrence and Al Orlandini and names like that. And we lived in Hillbrow. And I remember Keith Blundell, we went for an audition, and I sang a few songs, and he said to me afterwards, I must decide whether I want a British accent or an American accent. I can't have both.
Why not?
And his son played for me later on, and then he said that his dad later felt embarrassed about that. I said, why? It was good. It was very good advice.
Yeah.
Anyway, I ended up teaching at St. Cynthia's College in Sandton.
Okay.
Where I taught John Leyden of Bango Groove, and I would have taught Dave Matthews had I stayed on an extra year. But I wrote this play, Yankee Kom Huis Toe, for the kids. When I started teaching, Afrikaans was the most hated subject in the school. The previous teacher, he hit the children.
Okay.
And that kind of thing. So I thought the only way to make this succeed is to make it pret, make it fun.
Yeah.
So for spelling, we played cricket. I mean, one half of the class is batting, the other half is
Catching
bowling, and that kind of thing. We did a little theatre thing in the forest outside, like a Shakespearean clearing. And then they were allowed to write their own little plays in groups of 5 or 6. They're allowed to dress up, and then they come and do their little play. And one day the headmaster called me and he said, in the last 5 minutes of his lesson, which was English, the kids get very, very, very restless, and then they start scratching around in the suitcases and stuff. And then he asked them, what's the matter? And he said, no, it's Afrikaans next, sir.
Wow.
And at that moment I knew I was hitting the right buttons. So we wrote this play, Yankee Kom Huis Toe, involved the entire prep school, the ones that weren't in acting parts were in choirs on both sides of the stage, so everybody was in the play.
Beautiful.
So 2 full houses. The Friday night all the moms and dads came and checked, and the Saturday night all the omas and opas came, and it was a big success, a big breakthrough. And the headmaster of the high school was Mark Henning. He was head of Transvaal cricket at that stage. He came to me and he said, that song you wrote, Yankee, you should get somebody to sing it one day. Which I thought was remarkable not for a cricket player, but I didn't associate him with like good fine ears for music.
Yes.
But he was right. So years later, Sonia did do that, which opened up a career for me as well.
As a songwriter. Absolutely. Beautiful. That's a fascinating, fascinating story. You've navigated, I mean, it's 4 decades worth of hits in multiple areas of the industry. If you were to say, you know, collar up, I know how to play guitar, smoke and milk cows. If I could take back one quality or one main key topic that I've learned over the years to that young man at 17, what's the one thing that you take back with you to start your career all over again?
To take back or to take away?
To take back with you, if you could start it all again.
Well, take away is definitely the smoking.
Take away smoking. Stop
I stopped after 40 years there.
Kids, don't smoke.
Yeah, no, it's a horrible thing, and it's peer pressure.
It is, and it's difficult to stop. It's the hardest thing that I've ever had to do is stop smoking. I was almost at 2 packets a day at one stage because I thought, you know, the stress and the peer pressure was too much. I had to smoke. But yeah, it's very hard to stop, but I'm very thankful that I did. But to take back with you?
Something of 17, probably the energy.
Energy?
Yeah.
No, what I meant in the question is, you know, knowing what you know about the industry now, and you know, all the life lessons that you've gathered along the way, what would be the one thing that you could take back with you to restart again?
To restart.
That will serve you, you know, better than the resource that you had at that stage.
I don't know about at 17, because then I was playing as much guitar as I could and trying to write my own like infantile songs and stuff, which is good training.
Yes. Okay.
And copying the stuff that you hear on the radio, see if you can suss out the chords.
Okay.
And remember the melody and etc. That was there from the beginning. The changes is when I started recording.
Okay.
Mistakes and stuff.
Okay.
You want to talk about mistakes?
Yes, absolutely. You're a hyper successful man, and you haven't had this level of success. Like, you know, some of the guests that I've interviewed have had 2-3 singles that have you know, reached #1, and they're getting into the success now. This is not new to you. You've had this for many, many years, and to remain there, you've stepped on many landmines, as we call them, and mistakes. Please, I'd love to know.
Vanus Rautenbach said that if he could do it all over again, he would just plan better.
Plan better.
I think that is one of the things I'll mention. He also said that the Afrikaner is like paraphysis. What is paraphysis in English?
Paraphysis.
Tadpoles.
Tadpoles. I think they're tadpoles, yeah. Paraphysis.
As soon as one finds the edge and starts climbing out, the others all help him back in again. Those 2 factors. Like any industry, there's a lot of stuff going on behind the scenes. Management, record companies, radio, hyping, payola. I've heard of cases where a cameraman friend of mine did the rugby, and the guy came to me and said, "Can you please just for 10 seconds zoom in on that ad of mine there, and I will give you in return this, that, and that."
Yeah.
Payola, it's not dead. It's not dead. It's a very commercial world out there. And that is a pity. Donovan once said that he longs back for the times when he was just singing his new song to his girlfriend on the beach, instead of sitting around a round table with 12 people analyzing this to see if he's going to make it, how it can be changed to make it more accessible for the public, etc., etc. It is two worlds that you've got to marry together. There's no recipe for this. When I made it, when the first single made it, not as a songwriter, but as a singer-songwriter, I didn't sit and think, I'm going to write a hit song. There's no such thing. You write the song and then it either happens or it doesn't happen. Like Blommetjie Gedenk made this whole Father of Afrikaans rock thing. It was toevallig. It was just by the way. It wasn't intended to be the first rock song in Afrikaans. It was just something we did, and it turned out that way. Yeah, it's toevallig. What is toevallig in English?
I won't say by chance. What I'm picking up is you love the process. In your core, you're a creative. You love the process more than the outcome. So am I right to say so?
90% yes.
So
I like the outcome as well.
Yeah,
It's successful.
Absolutely, but the outcome is not why you're doing it. The process, figuring out the chord, figuring out, can I remember the melody? That's the magic for you, rather than getting the number one single or getting the number one song for that week or month is beautiful because it validates that you're on the right track. But the actual joy comes from creating the process.
I agree with you because, I mean, a lot of people do these translations where songs are already number one in Germany or elsewhere, and then they write quick words for it in Afrikaans, and then it is a hit, and then it disappears again. With creative processes, it doesn't work like that at all. I mean, it is something you hear in your head. Very often when I'm driving, something triggers something off, which could be the catchline of the song, it could be a chord progression, it could be the theme of the song.
Yes.
That needs to get written down or recorded on a little tape recorder or on your phone or whatever. In 1978, I heard something in my head. I was driving from Joburg to Pretoria. And I knew, okay, that could happen. And I didn't have a tape recorder or anything with me, so I repeated that for myself, going to Pretoria and all the way back. And then back in Randburg, I started going through books and stuff. There must be something that fits this. And there was a poem by somebody about a bayaboer. And okay, this didn't fit in either, not yet. And then the idea came of adding a wagon to it. Okay, we'll make this guy, he goes there with his wagon and he's got bees with him, and then he comes back again. So that is how Bayaboer happened. That's what I mean by the creative process. It's something that happens usually at the most unexpected time. It could be 3 o'clock at night. It could be after an operation. It could be you're driving somewhere and you get this idea. You're maybe on your way to the movies and then, okay, I just want to play this a little bit more. Yeah, but we're going to be late. Yeah, but I must just put this down. It's that kind of awareness the whole time. Especially in the beginning. Corrie de Villiers once said that with your first album, the first couple of albums, you've got your entire life to write about.
Yes.
And then you've now written about that now. You've only got one year that's happened since then and now. And that's where broadening comes into it. From reading, from listening, from just being aware of your surroundings. A successful song is probably one that where the listener thinks, oh, that's exactly how I feel.
Yes, you've touched someone.
Yeah. But that is not something one can sit and think up. It's something that happens in this process or it doesn't happen.
Beautiful. I love your answer.
Okay. Thank you.
Thank you very much, sir, for sharing. Now, it takes a village to raise a man. I know it's a hard question for me to ask you because there's been lots of people that at one or other stage, people that you've met and haven't met, touched your life that course corrected. When you heard the Beatles song for the first time, boom, you course corrected because you were heading in a different direction until then. If you could say, these are the 3 people that off the top of my head influenced my life, the most, me coming up as an artist, singer-songwriter, who would those people be and why?
In the broad spectrum.
Yes, sir.
Okay, first one is Bob Dylan. When I started, the second one is Breitenbach. When I read his first poetry, I think it starts off the Man met die groen trui from the Eysterkooi met Sweet. And he has become our greatest Afrikaans poet.
Yes.
And Herman Charles Bosman, the humor in his stories, and it was all set in the 40s, 50s, I know, or 30s.
Yes.
But against that background, the way he brings humor into it in a very subtle way, I like that a lot. And so the three, and Eugene Marais, may I mention the fourth one?
Yes, please.
After I read Dark Stream, which is the English version of the Groot Verlange, I was really, this jumped into my head. It's like when you read Steinbeck for the first time. Is it, what is this? And that's how I felt about Eugene Marais. Yeah,
Beautiful. Those four. And each one course corrected you slightly and gave you a different lens about life, about your career, about who you want to become and who's that person that you're chasing. Awesome. Best advice that you can give young musicians today, young people today?
Is play your instrument till you feel comfortable that you are in control of the instrument. And if you're writing, is be original. It's easy to say that, but there's no point in trying to imitate something else. There has been a Guy Korst, there has been a Francois van Cuyk, and they're all doing their thing. It's cool, check them out what they're doing. And you can learn maybe from that. But you must be your own person, and the things you write about must come from you, not from elsewhere. And the third thing is do a lot of revision on your songs. Make sure that if you're writing about tulips in Amsterdam, that you don't write tulips in the Sahara Desert, because there aren't tulips.
In the Sahara
facts
Desert,
facts are very important.
Yes.
And I'm not going to name out a couple of examples I can actually mention now, that where writing mistakes like that happened and nobody noticed. Also, don't try and be too intellectual. People listen to music for emotional reasons.
Yes.
It is not a psychology lesson or a philosophy lesson or anything like that. Write so that people can understand what you are saying. I'm not saying use easy one-syllable words. I'm not saying that. But to bring the whole Freud and Jung into the thing, you're not going to end up with the audience you want, depending on what you want to do.
What you want to achieve.
Yeah.
Relatable language that you can easily understand.
Because I'm talking from a singer-songwriter perspective,
Yes,
not a doof artist.
Yes,
or
yes.
dancing on the table type of thing with the backtrack playing and everybody's happy and they're all getting sloshed.
Yeah, that's a different audience.
Yeah.
Absolutely. Sir, you've had thousands of live performances, thousands, if not hundreds of thousands. It's a two-part question. You know, the first time that you performed a song for a size crowd versus the feeling and the emotion that you get now. And then the second part of the question is, high-performing individuals are very self-aware before transition into their craft. So what I'm asking is, the moment that you step on stage, is there something that switches on in your mind? Is there something that you say to yourself to say, listen, it's game time. It's now time to provide these people with the value they came to receive. What happens in your mind in that process when it's about to?
The latter question, there's a period of, I need a bit of silence.
Okay, silence.
In my head, it's very uncomfortable if you're sitting backstage and somebody's blowing on a saxophone next to you and you've got to go up.
Okay.
Not dead silence, but just that silence in your head to prepare what I'm going to do tonight, and hopefully I can give them what they are expecting.
Yes.
It's not a question of being good or excellent or something. Just give them what they've come to see.
Yes.
The most difficult situations are where you are one of 20 artists performing at a big show.
Okay.
You're singing one or two songs, they're not there for you. You've got one or two songs to get them.
So those are difficult situations.
They are difficult, yeah.
Okay.
In
Understand.
the beginning with audiences, I had this thing in the front row, and the men would sit like this, and the women would, and then you work on that guy
Okay.
to see if you can open his body language.
Yes.
Open up so he can
Yes.
smile and eventually also like it and feel safe. I'm not going to go home with his wife if she kisses me afterwards. He's got to go home with that.
Yes.
That kind of thing. Can I just chip in here?
Absolutely.
The word performing, Lel Coward. Somebody once asked him, what time are you performing, Mr. Coward? And he said, madam, dogs on bicycles perform. I entertain.
Oh, wow. Okay.
Now I've spoiled the word for you. No?
Thank you very much. Thank you very much. Noted.
What was the first question?
So the first question is those butterflies in the stomach, the anxiety. Is there anxiety? Is there anxiety today?
Yeah.
Still today?
Yeah.
Until today?
43 years later, yes.
Wow.
Yes. I saw Peter Lotus after a long, long career, like puking against the curtains before he had to go up because of nerves.
Wow.
When I leave Gansbaai, I've now changed this thing of coming a day earlier.
Okay.
Had this been normal, I would have left there at 6 o'clock, get to the airport, fly, Elimar, my guitarist, picks me up, we go to the gig, all in one day.
Okay.
I've now changed that because I find that because of nerves, I wake up in the night, like every 2 hours, and don't want to miss the aeroplane. We still drive there, still get ready, we still be on time, that kind of thing. Just before the shows itself, it's a little bit of nerves. It's not going into a state or anything like that. But I believe there's got to be a little bit of tension. You can't just be blasé.
Agreed.
And walk up there and, F you guys, like.
I think one of the reasons, there's thousands of reasons, but one of them is your passion has never gone away because you came to entertain. I don't have hair. I wish I did, just to imitate what you just did. That was very cool. I'll never forget that for as long as I live. But you want to give the crowd, your fans, what they came for, what they
Yes.
what they deserve.
Yes, because they are the ones that put you there.
Absolutely.
And
kept you there.
Yeah.
For 42
and to get
years.
you there and hopefully keep you there.
Yes.
It's a long time, but I really still enjoy it. Traveling is a hassle.
It is.
It is a hassle, and now with everything going bizarre with petrol prices and wars and stuff, and after COVID. During COVID, it was so nice for us with the restrictions, the early restriction.
Yeah.
10 o'clock, it's got to be finished, go home, and the highway's empty.
Yeah.
It was such a joy driving.
And obviously playing in a lot smaller settings to few people,
Yes.
more intimate crowd.
Yeah,
Did you
more
enjoy
intimate.
that?
Yeah. More.
You did.
I enjoy that. Your big fest is where there are thousands of people, that is very nice. And then you have a band with you.
Yes.
It's not a cabaret thing, you don't stand there telling stories and stuff.
Yes.
The small intimate thing where we sometimes go up to 2 hours.
Awesome.
Depending on the audience.
Yes.
If it's a noisy audience, then most of the talking falls away.
Yeah. You just
You
go.
just bang out the songs. What do they say? Close your eyes and think of England. There's the Bruce Springsteen story. Chuck Berry never took a band with him. He just took his guitar, and then he finds himself a band in the city where he's playing, and they've got to back him, and he expects them to know his music.
Wow.
So this one night it was Bruce Springsteen early days, and the E Street Band playing for him, and they were very, very excited. I mean, he's the father of rock and roll.
Absolutely.
And he rocked up like 5 to 8, walks past Bruce, and they said, Bruce said to him, what songs are we going to play, Mr. Berry? He said, we're going to play Chuck Berry songs. And he walked to the stage, started tuning his guitar, and started the intro of Johnny Be Good. And then the rest followed. And there was one rule that he had, that if the boys, if they play very well, then they get an extra couple of $100 each, whatever. And after the third or the fourth song, he turned around and he said to Bruce Springsteen, play for the money, boys.
Play for the money.
It's a lovely stuff. Bruce tells the story himself.
Beautiful.
Actually. But it is a nice thing your big occasions with thousands of people listening and rocking to the band, and the band is grooving. In the band, we do guitar and voice, 2 guitars and 1 voice shows, and it's intimate, but we do a lot of musical things.
Yes.
On the side, which you can't do if you're operating by yourself.
Yes.
Also, it's more free than when you have a band. The band is much more structured. You can't just go that way and expect them to follow.
Without
but the band is like an engine, a car's engine. It's 4 or 5 people letting the wheels roll in one direction.
Yes.
Which is also 3 aspects. All 3 are very, very nice.
Yes. And all 3, I think the performance or the outcome, the effect is different and unique to each one.
Yeah, I stopped using a set list years ago. I suss the audience out what would they like. Is there somebody that's going to ask for something I haven't done for a long time, and that'll be nice to hear that kind of sussing it out. But the set list happens on stage, and Elimar follows. Yeah. No, I don't have a written one. If I'm playing with new musicians, then I will work out a set list and stick to that for their sakes.
I understand.
But they also have the warning of I can go elsewhere, leave that out and do that and stuff.
Play for the music boys.
Yeah, play for the music boys. Sure.
Beautiful. Sir, if you could spend an entire day with someone, from morning till evening, I'm very interested to know who it is. And one question you'd ask him or her, dead or alive?
This is not my wife you're talking about.
No, outside of your wife. I know the answer is your wife.
There goes my answer. Who very often one's disappointed in one's heroes. They also people. They also have feet of clay.
We're all frail men.
Yes, we're all frail. So it's a tricky one to answer. I'm probably going to say Dylan, but Chris Christopherson mentioned to me that he's just a little boy. He's an innocent. Those were actually his words. He lives for his art 24 hours a day. He's not a party guy. Bruce Springsteen is a party guy. Neil Young is probably a party guy. Dylan doesn't operate like that. It's an ongoing thing here. Even if he's walking in the field checking things out, he's working on art. So that answer falls away. I don't know. Sports people, I probably would have liked to spend an evening or two with George Best, but he would have drank me under the table. I did see him play once.
Okay, that's
in
awesome.
the Ron Stadium once. He was playing for Jewish Guild, but he was finished already. But he was the 5th Beatle, and when he touched the ball, the entire crowd went, the Messiah, the Messiah. Let me think of other people. I really don't know.
Which politician would you like to spend?
None of them.
None of them. Good.
None of them. I don't trust any of them.
Good.
I don't trust any of them.
Good.
No, not really. There were ones that I had more respect for than others. Some have done more than others, but really they're into power.
Yeah.
I think Donald Trump is an excellent example.
Salesman, just pure salesman.
Yeah, of all the things that I do not like.
Yeah.
It's all summed up in one person. No, and locally the politicians, I know there are 1 or 2 or 3 of them that are probably good people, but they won.
Yeah.
One here, one there. It's not enough. I'm quite worried about what's going on, actually. We've been in a democratic situation for 25 years. It's time to get this shit together now.
Yeah, we need to move forward. We need...
clean up and move forward.
Yeah, we need to move forward. I fully agree. You're a big reader.
Yes and no.
So I'll share with you a story about our company. We've got a very unique to us. Initially, I was never a big reader. I was never a big fan of school. I'll tell you an Afrikaans teacher story. I would love to share with you. So I'm an immigrant child, came from Bulgaria when we were very young. 8 years old, and went to an English high school
Where?
in Pretoria, Willow Ridge English High School, and I had this just amazing Afrikaans teacher. Her name is Snyman, Juffrou Snyman, and she pulled me to the side. She says, "Maar jy's 'n mooi kind, jy's 'n goeie kind. Jy sal Afrikaans praat." I'm like, "Oh, ma'am, you know like just give me a chance. I'm just getting into this English thing here. Just give me a just give me a minute." She says, "No, you will." And she spent time with me and she worked with me. I was very naughty, but you know, she really helped me. She changed my life. Also, that's one person that changed the direction. At the end of the matric year, my Afrikaans mark was 10% higher than my English mark. And I went to it, you know, cried, and she hugged me. And every reunion now and then, I just speak to Afrikaans. Juffrou, kom sit hier so by my. Kom ons praat bietjie. And yeah, I don't know why I veered off, but when you went off to the Afrikaans teacher story, she was that, she created that anxious boy, you know, fiddling around because I'm going to your first Landmines class. Sit in front and pay attention.
That's wonderful.
Yeah.
That is what teaching is about.
Absolutely. I was really, like, I couldn't wait. Everything else, I was playing soccer or rugby or just fooling around, smoking cigarettes, peer pressure, but Afrikaans, I paid attention. So, you know, many years later, many landmines, many mistakes, you know, myself and the team are growing the business, trying to push, you know, figuring out things, and I fall in love with reading books or listening to audiobooks, but you know, in the field that interests me. So that's why I pay more attention. And we developed a book club at work where initially it was forced. You know, it was like, you know, it's optional, but you know, you have to. It's optional, but it's not. So once a month we give a business book for the entire company. Everybody reads it and writes a one-page report on the book. So 3 key takeaways. What can I implement from the mistakes, the landmines of the author that will improve my life and my situation now? So good success. We run competitions. You know, we do lots of cool stuff. So that's how, you know, we fell in love with books and learning from the mistakes. But and it's always fascinating to you're an intellectual person, like big time. You've got incredible insight on life and on various topics. But if you could choose, I can't ask you for one because that's a difficult question. 3, your top 3 books and why?
Sure, the top one is probably Life of Brian of Monty Python, but it's not a book.
Not a book.
That's a movie.
It's a movie. Okay. Okay.
And the entire way of thinking and looking at the world. The top 3 books. Steinbeck would be there. Breitenbach, Eugene Marais. You want a 4th and a 5th as well?
Yes, please.
Charles Bosman. And I'm now reading Bill Bryson.
Okay.
Which I really, really enjoy, and especially his research. This man is he's like a library. The things he comes up with.
Okay.
He writes a book called At Home. Now he takes his home in England and divides that into chapters: the dining room, the lounge, the kitchen,
interesting,
etc. Then when you get to the garden, then he goes off about when the lawnmower was discovered and how they did the lawns before that.
Interesting.
And you get to the kitchen and then you learn about these very weird acts in England with their big castles, and the kitchen was this side and the dining room that side. So you had a little train running on tracks from the kitchen so that the food is still hot when you get there.
Casting all the food they're on.
And another one coming back with the empty plates. And nobody on that estate of probably 40 workers working from are allowed to look at him. When he comes walking from somewhere, they've got to look down. This is a book about the house. It is so clever. It is so clever. So there's 5 books for you.
Awesome.
Asterix as well.
Asterix as well.
Yeah.
Awesome. Now,
definitely.
From your hundreds of performances, live performances, if you could, like the first couple that come to your mind, maybe a funny story, and your most unforgettable performance, and why?
I can't answer either. I've had a lot of memorable ones. The one that probably stands out for me was the shows my violin player, who was a hippie from Clarence, where we're going to today,
Okay.
who is now living in Panama.
In
He and I
Panama.
we went to Bilbao
Okay.
for a conference on censorship.
Okay.
And we had to do this gig, and there was somebody interviewing us in front of the audience who's now Spanish people. So he interviewed us in English, and then I thought with the show, I better explain what the songs are all about. Otherwise, it's just like
It's going to be sounds.
Yeah. Now, how do you translate Chapters Korean? Boy from the suburbs, begrafenis en zeers, and things like that. It is tricky. But afterwards, the violin player, Denzel Keenan, said to me, "I'm so glad you did that, Anton. Now I know what the songs are all about as well." Like I said, that's my one memory.
Thanks for clarifying.
Yeah, there were a lot of them. The tours in the UK during the time when the people went on a 2-year visa, work permit, and so we go over with a band to Artvark and play to these SA Oaks, 300 of them in a place that can only just take 300, all with their cell phones and their black label beers, and you sing Yankee, and the tears are rolling down. Or Chapters Korean.
Wow,
And
that must be
it's very
an
hard,
experience.
yeah, hearty,
Yeah,
of the heart, cri de cœur.
yeah.
What is that in English? Cry of the heart.
Cry of the heart.
Yeah, it's emotional, it's passionate. All of those. The Australian one as well. I thought it's an amazing continent. You hear all these stories about the Australians and sheep and stuff, and they say it's actually the New Zealanders. But it's next level. It is absolutely next level. The schools, it's like auditoriums. Backstage, it's like laboratories. Places where you can charge your iPad, where your phone. They're max standing more than you can eat. Proper big pianos. Soundproofing. On their highways, there's like soundproofing stuff on the side. It's like nets for the sound of the highway, not to go into the suburb. It's really seriously first world. We're walking in the street in Melbourne, and my wife walked per ongeluk in front of 4 guys on bicycles. They swerved out, they looked back, they said, "Are you okay, mate?" Not the other way around, you know.
Yeah.
I'm not going to...
It would have been a different conversation, you know, here, yeah.
Yes, that's right. It would have involved a lot of words starting with your mother's this and that.
Some or other, yes.
Yeah, it's like a different headset. But we'll get there. South Africa will get there. I don't know when.
Yeah. We definitely will. I'm not as well traveled as you are. I've been to the States, been to a couple of countries in Europe, never Australia, but
You've been to Bulgaria?
I've been to Bulgaria, yes. But every time I land at OR Tambo, at the airport, it feels like home. I love South Africa. It's the best country to live in. It really is. Despite all the problems and issues and situations and politics, it's still the best
It's the
country.
diversity that makes it so cool.
Yes, the culture is very, very, very rich. And what I found, I understand the compassion and are you okay, but what I found is because we have so many different cultures living in a very small space, we are very forgiving with each other. We're very understanding. You know, it's for example, if an Asian person walks in and you know they don't have the best English, we are accommodating. What do you mean? Can I please say again? Where you know perhaps other countries will react a little bit differently to that. So
yeah, no, you're right, spot on.
now, a young man like you, are you a fan of automotive? Do you like cars? Is it your thing?
They're very useful for getting from one place to another.
Definitely.
I'm not a petrol head.
You're not a petrol head.
Yeah, I've gone through a few cars in my life, and stages come and stages go. My first car, to answer your question,
Yes.
was a Borgward Isabella.
I don't even know what that is. I'm serious.
They took the Borgwards off the market. I think it's still manufactured in Brazil or something. They had like 400,000 miles on the clock. That kind of, the manufacturer made a big mistake.
Okay, they made it too good.
Yes, yes, yes. And that was the station wagon, which is, I was at college when I got the car from my parents and they got another car. And a station wagon can accommodate mattresses, and it's like very, very useful if you want to go on a picnic or
Yes, absolutely.
or
Got
whatever.
you.
But I've gone through the ranges. The first Nissan, it was still Datsun,
That's a nice.
a Datsun Bakkie. I've had a Toyota Bakkie. I've had an Isuzu Trooper. I've had
Those
a
are
Merc
cool.
280 SL.
Oh, that's cool. That's a
That
cool
was
car.
very, very cool for a while. I had this Lucy, what is that song with the hair in the wind in the streets of Paris? Whatever. It took 3.5 hours down to Durban. And then in Durban I put on the high speed, what's that, French Michelins.
Michelin's, yes,
Yeah,
yes.
because the normal ones didn't last the journey. And that phase came and that phase went. I changed from that to a diesel 4x4 Isuzu. And I've had a Jeep, which was very lovely, Wrangler. I'm
Those
glad
are
I don't have it at the moment with the petrol prices.
Yes, yes.
Got me about 4.5 liters to a kilo or something
Yeah.
like that. And that's
You have
finished
fun
it.
using it, but
Then
it
it was
costs you.
parked.
Yeah.
The moment I'm driving a Volkswagen Up, which gives us 21 kilos to the liter.
That's a very cool car.
It's very, very
It's
cool.
very cool, and
Yeah,
it's
yeah.
fast, and it looks
And-
funky.
Yeah, very, yeah, bling and funky. And when Elimar when he comes down to the Cape, and we tour with that, it takes 2 guitars, 2 suitcases, entire Bose system,
Okay,
and you can still see in the rear view mirror.
beautiful.
No, it's amazing.
And what's your dream car?
My dream car.
Yes.
It used to be a Ferrari, a red Ferrari, but not anymore.
Not anymore. Okay,
No. Let's stick to Ferrari.
let's stick to that. Beautiful.
Red.
Red Ferrari.
A red Ferrari. Yeah, yellow Ferrari doesn't look good.
Yeah, it's not a Ferrari.
No.
At least it's red.
You expect that in vereniging there by the station.
Infinite.
Yellow cars.
Awesome. Beautiful journey through time.
Wheels.
Yeah. Sir, this has been a very interesting interview. I'm honored to have met you in real life. You're a living legend. I wish you many, 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 many more decades of doing what you love.
Thank you.
But before we go, where can our youngest fans are anything 13, 14 years old. Our oldest fan is Uncle Saki, is 92.
Sure.
Regularly writes me messages. I like that interview. You know, I don't like this what you said here to this person. So, you know, where can our fans and your millions of fans see you next? What's coming up? Where can we reach you? Where can we see more of you, sir?
Okay, Facebook.
Facebook, that's the preferred.
Yeah, the fan page. I'm not great on TikTok.
Not yet.
Not yet. And Instagram is cool, but the Facebook is
The
for
main.
me the main Facebook fan page one.
And that's where your calendar is. That's where your shows are,
Yeah, we
your sessions.
tell them where they are. And then we've got a YouTube channel where all the songs are, and in the lockdown we did a lot of kachelkuiers.
Okay.
Interviewed a lot of interesting people, which kept us all alive.
Yes.
Mentally alive.
Yes.
Lockdown, we're still going to see a result of this for a couple of years.
I believe so too, sir.
You know, the little kids at school, grade R, in that serious lockdown period, they drop a pencil. The one this side wants to help his maatjie by picking up the pencil. Teacher says, don't touch. If he did touch, he must be sanitized. Not seeing emotion, just eyes.
Very hard.
This is going to take a couple of years
Just to
for
get
those
back
kids
into
are
it.
adjusted. But yes, it is a wonderful country, and we've still made it, and thank you very much.
It's been an absolute honor and a privilege.
Away.
Thank you, sir. Away.